Well, a start of another video. So what am I up to now? I'm just about to pull apart or take the cover off my Lincoln jet welder. This welder would be, I would say, around 50 years old. One of the first things I bought when I was early 20s. So yeah, it's seemed to be losing a bit of puff. So I don't know whether it's completely worn out. It might be just some bad contact somewhere. I'm just about to take the top off and have a look. So basically I'll get back to you as soon as I get the top off and we'll have a look inside. Well, I've got the top off. This is the inside of it. I think there's enough cobwebs in there to make it work, but I'm just going to give it a clean out. Well, what I'm going to do is get my vacuum cleaner on there, and in fact my brand new Azito vacuum cleaner. And here I realised I have missed out on a golden opportunity. Because last video I was telling you about, I couldn't understand why people watched particular videos, and first time I saw a video entitled unboxing something, I thought to myself, surely that can't be a video of somebody taking something out of a box, but it was, and they get lots of views. And I realised that, you know, I could have had a video unboxing my Azito vacuum cleaner, and I completely missed the opportunity. Now I could have got millions of views of people who get their rocks off watching people take things out of boxes. So what else am I going to do to get millions of views? I could start a conspiracy theory YouTube channel, couldn't I? What can I... Hey, conspiracy theory on vacuum cleaners. Here it is. They've been lying to you all these years. There is no vacuum in a vacuum cleaner. There you go. Just a change in air pressure due to the exhaust fan on the head, reducing the pressure inside the bowl, which makes the air pressure from the atmosphere go up. Like, who would believe that? They probably believed that the earth is flat before they believed that. Okay, so there, look, what I'll do is give it a clean and probably get back to you again. And don't forget to stay till the end of the video, because I can promise you it'll be just as boring as the first bit. Well, I suctioned it out with my suction cleaner and with my brand new Azito. It's got quite a lot of suction, not an expensive unit. But one of the things I've noticed is I think somebody in the factory stuffed up, because the fittings for the vacuum cleaner don't fit on the end. They've made them the same size, and so they've put this little bit of aluminium tube in there. So I think that's just stuff up. But if you do buy yourself a Azito vacuum cleaner, don't throw away the fittings from your existing vacuum cleaner. Excuse me for a second, because this is a fitting from my existing vacuum cleaner, and they go in quite nicely without any adapter. So yeah, keep your old fittings, because they will fit, but the Azito ones won't fit without that. Another thing I like too is I'm vacuuming electrical stuff, and there could be a charge in there, like a large capacitor. Azito's got a plastic wand thing handle tube, which means you're not likely to get zapped from vacuuming electrical stuff, which is a bit of a plus, I think. The original one I had a metal tube. So I'm going to take this outside now and blow it down with compressed air, because the vacuum is not really getting all the stuff out little nooks and crannies. So I'll be back again shortly. Now it is test time. So I've just brought it outside. I haven't put the cover back on it. I've sort of greased up a few the contacts. I'm not sure if they're going to catch fire or not, so I've left the lid off just in case anything should happen. I've got a couple of fire extinguishers on the side in case it goes up in flames. Now, the maximum amps on this welder is 130. 3.2 rods take up to 130 amps. And I'm thinking the welder, age, I'm not young anymore. And I just thought, well, I'd go down to a 2.6, just make sure it'll handle the 2.6 okay. I didn't want to buy a full packet of 3.2 rods and find they didn't work very well. At least 2.6 at 130 amps should give me plenty of penetration, or might have to knock it down to 100 amps. So this is just a test to make sure the welder is working okay. The only thing I could really find with it was an earth connection inside the, not the earth to the power, the earth to the earth strap that goes to your workpiece. That was slightly corroded, so that might have stopped a bit of current getting through. So anyway, here is a test run. I'm going to turn my back to the camera and hide the weld because I don't know what the welding will do to the camera, whether it will be too bright and damage something in there. So here we go. First of all, of course, plug it in. That's it, plugged in. Yep, feels like it's working. Got the rod, the Helding walnut. Whew. And we'll have a run. Run number one didn't work because I've suddenly realised I'm going through a power board and I've just tripped it. So I'll switch the camera off for a second. Attempting to weld, take two. I'd say 130 amps on the machine. The machine's not really putting out 130 amps. I'm having a bit of a struggle trying to weld with 2.6 rods, which I shouldn't have. What I'll do is I'll wind it back to 100 amps just in case there's a problem with a 130 amp circuit. Yeah, it seemed to weld better at 100 amps than it did at 130. So at least it's welding. So I will be able to make what I want to make because I've got a bit of welding coming up. That's why I've decided to service the welder. So now I think I'll just put it all back together again, and I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. So I'll see you shortly. Well, my welder seems to be welding okay. One of the first projects I've got with that is I want to make some car ramps so I can get underneath the car for cleaning and inspecting. I do my own servicing on the vehicle, and well, since I retired I did, and I thought some of the money I saved from not having somebody else to do it, I'll slowly start buying equipment or more equipment for servicing. So the next thing I'm going to make is some car ramps. You can buy them, but what I've seen of them, they don't seem to be exceptionally strong, not really suitable for a four-wheel drive, so I'm going to make my own. Meanwhile, I'm standing here by my little sauna. This is just a little personal sauna. Went to turn it on last night and nothing happened. Here am I standing about ready to get into my sauna in the buff. Not a pleasant sight, and it was cold. So everything else seems to be working except, well, I don't say everything seems to be working. The light inside is working, but the switch that switches the element on isn't doing anything. I had to move it. Move it. Never mind. And during the moving, I must have damaged something. So I'm hoping it's not the element. I'm hoping there's something in the box here which is playing up. So this is the first job I've got today, is to check it out and just see what's wrong with it. So now you know what I'm going to do with my morning. And probably in the afternoon do some drawings of what I want in the respect of a car ramp. So if I get this working, I'll get back to you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, which will be coming after this bit. And don't forget the end bit. It's just as boring as this bit. So stay tuned. Well, that was a quick fix. It was just a wire that came out of its connector. So stuck it back in its connector and we're back in business. So soon to be back into my little vertical coffin and having another sauna. I've got the compressor mounted because hopefully I want to be able to get out onto the water tomorrow. And as previously mentioned, I've put the battery inside a battery box and secured it down to the deck. So here's my new battery box. Obviously the battery's inside. As I said, I drilled a hole at the back for the cable to go through, and it's securely held down to the deck with a ratchet strap. So we should be ready to rock and roll tomorrow. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to make some ramps to run my four-wheel drive up onto. I'm not too happy with what's on the market. It seems fairly weak and small for a four-wheel drive. So I'll show you the drawings that I've made up at the moment. The said drawing of the ramp, the area in the red dotted rectangle is the ramp part, and the other part I call the pedestal part. My thoughts later after I did the drawing is I probably need another upright halfway up the ramp. If you're an engineer or have got some experience in these things, maybe you can point out something I need to change. But my intentions are to be able to pull the ramp off of the pedestal because they'll be bolted together, so should I need to get under the side of the vehicle, I can remove the ramp. It also doesn't show any stop at the front of the ramp because I want to put the car on there and then put the stop at the appropriate place because I don't really know where to put it at the moment. So if you've got any suggestions at all on modifying my ramp, please let me know in the comments section. They forecast a nice day for tomorrow. That's of course until tomorrow comes and they change their mind. But I'm just going through my checklist for the boat to make sure everything's shipshape, pun intended. And the next scene in this video should be me in the ocean, or hopefully on the ocean, and then in the ocean. I sort of go for some treasure hunting and see what sorts of treasure I can find. So far I've found some wire and some rusty bolts, so my efforts so far haven't been in vain. But hopefully we can find something decent tomorrow. So, as I said, I'll see you on the ocean. Well, here I am, as promised. Unfortunately, my lapel microphone is flat because somebody didn't charge it up last night. I did charge the one that goes on the camera, but I didn't charge the other one. That just shows you how absolutely unintelligent I am. But anyway, I'm just going out, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm taking my metal detector with me to see if I can find some treasures. So hop on the board, we'll start the engine. And away we go. So I'll leave you now and catch up with you when I get to my anchorage and my treasure hunting spot. Well, the big question is, why am I sitting in my boat shed, and not in the water? All of you who voted because I'm stupid, I reckon you've hit the nail right on the head. I jumped in the water with my new Boyancy jacket on, and I went to inflate it, and this thing's floating up in the water, because when I was in the pool I just had it in my hand all the time. This is just floating up in the water, and I'm sitting here with my jacket on thinking, where's my inflator? You know, because I inflated the vest before I got in the water, and incidentally the flotation is perfect. If you remember, at the beginning of the video I tried it in the pool. Yeah, in the ocean it's beautiful. I don't yet know if the weight belt is heavy enough to pull me down, but I jumped in the water, and the inflator's floating up there in the water, and I'm just sitting in my jacket on thinking, where's my inflator? You know, what the hell is it? You know, and I couldn't find it anywhere, so climbed back in the boat and had a look at it, and noticed that the inflator is coming out of the top of my vest and just floating up. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to have to make something up to hold the inflator against the front of the jacket. So yesterday I got home, or yesterday I was home, and I'm looking at this jacket here and thinking, where can I attach it? I could attach it to this thing, this flap thing here. I wonder what it is. Opened up the flap, and guess what the flap is for? It's a Velcro strap, isn't it? For holding my inflator in place. And of course I didn't realise that was there. Jumped in the water and my inflator was floating up in the air instead of down here at the front of my jacket. So I sort of, well, if things aren't 100%, I bought the dive. I don't say, okay, I can't reach it, too bad. If things aren't right, I bought the dive, and this is exactly what I did. And now weather's not too good, so I can't go out again until, well, hopefully next week sometime. What is it now? Thursday, so I won't have long to wait. I'm retired, so I tend not to go down to the boat ramps on the weekend because they're busy. Being I'm retired, I can go down during the week when it's nice and quiet. Now the next thing I need to make up for my boat is like a rack to hold the things that I want to take. Oh, incidentally, I was going to take another video of me back in the boat explaining why I was aborting the dive. But I couldn't get my camera out of the waterproof dive housing. And even when I got home, it's very tight to actually get undone. I couldn't get it undone. So I fixed that problem, and now I've got two cameras, one for diving, one for on the deck of the boat, which is not the camera I'm using at the moment because I'm using my Panasonic. Out of the water I use a GoPro because it's waterproof rather than the camera I've got at the moment. Plus the camera I've got at the moment I use around when I'm not in the water because it's got a big screen and it's easier to see what's going on. So the next thing I've got to do is make up a rack to hold all the things I want to use underwater on, because when I enter the water off the boat I don't use a recognised entering system. Off a boat like this, the entering system that is usually used is what is called the rollback entry. You sit on the boat facing into the boat with your back towards the ocean, and you just roll backwards into the water and basically do a somersault in the water. Now the reason why I don't do that is because I'm a solo diver, and I have heard, I've never seen it myself, but I have heard of people doing a rollback entry and getting caught on the side of the boat and left hanging upside down off the boat and needing assistance to get back. Well, obviously if you're a solo diver you don't want that. So I actually go in facing the boat and use both my hands to push myself off the boat as I'm going in and just hold on to the boat with one hand until I've worked out, made sure my buoyancy is right and so forth, because that's another point people have done if they've entered the water and not inflated their buoyancy jacket. So they jumped in the water and just gone straight down, which is not really crash hot. So yeah, so I make sure that as I go in, I've got full control of me going in, plus I use an air hose. So the rollback entry is used for people with dive tanks, because they've got this big dive tank on the back of them, which I don't have because I use a hose. Furthermore, I don't want to do a somersault on top of my dive hose, otherwise I'll end up getting tied up in the dive hose. So that's the reason why I go in the way I do. So I've got, and also when you're doing that, of course, you can't have things in your hand or things hanging off you. So I need then to make up a rack of things on the side of the boat. So after I've got in the water, then I can go and select what I want off of my rack and tie it onto myself. I need to make some, I seem to make everything. I just don't go to shops and buy things. I like to make my own stuff up. I need to make some, what they call lanyards. So I've got my camera and, well, I was supposed to be using an echo sounder when I went out, what was it, 2 days ago I think. Yeah, I should have been using the echo sounder, but that's got something around my wrist. But I need to be able to attach it to my wetsuit, probably on the D-ring and my wetsuit. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Basically making mistake after mistake, but really I felt like a complete idiot when I got back and realised that there was a Velcro strap there for me to hold the inflator on to the buoyancy jacket with, and I didn't notice it. So that sort of stuff. I mean, it was a nice day in the water, it was beautiful, and I sort of enjoyed myself, even though I didn't get to have a dive. So I've just got a couple of things to make up on the boat. One of them is, usually with these type of boats, these inflatable boats, they have a rope around the outside. I didn't really want that because once again you could get caught up in it, but I do need one at the entry where I'm going into the water. I do need one, so when I get into the water I've got something to hang on to, rather than try and find, there's a handle on the side of the boat, but rather than try and find the handle, I can just grab the rope anywhere I like. So hopefully next time, another thing I need to do too, it's just, this is called the Alpha flag. It's a blue and white flag. It's the international sign that ships use to indicate that they have a diver in the water, for other ships to know that they keep a reasonable distance away from the ship. Now, the West Australian government insists that we use this international sign when we're diving. Now, ships, when they put out their flags, they usually put it on one of the stays, so the flag is on an angle and then hangs out all the time. But when you're in a small vessel, bloody thing just hangs down, doesn't it? Does that look like a dive flag to you? No, it doesn't. And they also insist on people who are diving just with a small float, but they use a blue and white flag. Guess what colour the ocean is? Yes, you're right. If you guess blue and white, well, you're pretty right. Now I noticed in America, the divers on their private boats don't use the international signal because they have the intelligence to realise that blue and white is not very visible against the ocean, and they use a red and white flag because they seem to think that red will stand out more. But our government just insists on using this blue and white bloody flag. But what I need to be able to do is somehow, when the flag is vertical, is to get it to hold out so it looks like a dive flag. Hello. So I'll need something to hold it out. There was another boat that pulled up alongside me, was, I'd say, well within the 50 metres that it should be keep away, but I was only diving around the boat. I knew where they were there. Only probably didn't realise I was diving because there was no wind at all. The flag was just hanging down. He wouldn't have known what the hell it was. So I need something to hold the flag out so that people can see it is actually a dive flag. But I don't know what I'm going to do. The only other thing to do is go to America. Then I can use a red and white flag. Then he'll look and say, oh, there's a red thing up. Probably a dive flag. And of course blue contrasts with the sky quite well too, doesn't it? And the clouds. Well, blue and white, it's certainly a good choice for a dive flag. Anyway, look, that is the end of this video, and I'm certainly glad you stayed this long. I'm surprised that you stayed this long, but yeah, never mind. And we'll see how we go with the next video. Hopefully I'll get some of my ramp done for my car, and probably get the rope fitted to my boat and some method of hanging stuff off the side of the boat that I can grab. It's also handy if, like, I've got, it was the end of the video, it's now continuing. Sometimes you've got like a cray loop. We call them crays. They're actually lobster, but their local name, we call them crays. Well, we're not very bright over in Western Australia. We called our lobsters crayfish for years and years and years, until we were advised that crayfish is a freshwater species and not an ocean species, and in fact what we have here are lobsters. So yeah, I guess the young people will call them lobsters now, but us old people still refer to them as crays. Cray being, of course, short for crayfish. So yeah, sometimes if you go down, it's the time when you see some crays underwater, and with a day you don't take a cray loop with you to catch them. So it's like something to hold a cray loop and a catch bag on the side of my boat as well. So everything I might need, I could just dangle off the side of the boat, so I don't have to climb into the boat to get it. If you get my drift. Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, well, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. The ocean life is what I like, it's where I want to be. Sailing through the rolling waves is the only life for me. I like to see spray on my face and the beach sailing on my feet. Everyone they call me Salty Pete, Salty Pete, Salty Pete.